Okay, so in this video I'm going to go through kind of a study video and then a setup video. So go through this and then analyze how DRT can be used with fair value gaps as well. So currently this is the weekly time frame on GBPCHF, and then marking out the range from this high to this low. It's evident that we have traded deeply into discount, run into this fair value gap, right? This order block as well. We have this 25% gap, which together have held price and moved it to the upside. And then when we look at the 50% right here, we can see that there is a huge fair value gap here, and that is what I'm going to use to dissect how DRT, dealing range theory, can be used with fair value gaps. And then forgive the background noises, forgive the background noise. And so here, and then at the 75 DRT as well, we've got this fair value gap, this bearish fair value gap. So let me mark that out. Here, and then lock it in. So text here. So we have the weekly, let's say 75% gap, which is also the 10 minutes gap, right? Sorry, the 10 minutes gap. Yeah, 10 minutes gap. That is it. Which is also the 10 minutes gap. Okay. And then we have this gap at the 50%. And so what I will do is mark out the high and the low of that gap, and then see how price is currently navigating through that gap. Okay, let me bring that into the center, focus on that. Okay, so because this is a bit messy, what I will do is I'll use the horizontal rays to mark that out, to mark these levels out, and then take away the fib. Yes, then one more, and then we are done. One more, and then we are done. We're trying to get this not really well. And so let me take off the fib exactly. And so we have these levels right here. Good. And so as it is evident here, within this gap, you see that we have run the high of the gap, traded back into discount, and specifically into this fair value gap right here at the 25, at the extreme discount. Right, we've run, gone up, come down again. Then when we go into the daily, what we see is that price is basically inside of a range, right? This low to this high, we see that price is inside of a range right here. So right here, right here. Then I'll copy that and then drag it to the top right here. So we see that price is basically inside of a range. I think I lost that, so let me do that properly. So that is it. And so we have run the high, run into the fair value on the weekly, right? Then we see that at the 25 DRT level as well, we have this gap here. We've run into that inverse fair value gap, run up, come down again, run into the 25 DRT level, and then we are finding resistance at that place. And then but then let's not forget that at the 50% we have this fair value gap as well, right? We have this fair value gap as well. But because we are inside of a range, what I am anticipating is that, and we see that when we get to the high of the range, we come down, the low of the range we go up. And now that we have traded into the low of that range, I am anticipating that we go up and then retest this. So this fair value gap that is evident at the 50%, I expect it to be disrespected, right? I expect that to be disrespected to the upside, and then we attack at least the 75%, because we have the gap here, but then you see that we haven't fully filled that gap. We haven't fully filled that gap, right? And so I would expect that we disrespect this and then go up and then at least fill the gap, and then possibly we can hit this. And then we have this order block as well over there, because we found liquidity above this, the high of this candle, this bearish candle, and then we've left a fair value gap here, and we are yet to test the order block. And so going into the 4-hour to make things a bit clearer. Good. So inside of the 4-hour, what is evident is that we have run into, right, perfectly into the 25 DRT level, disrespected this fair value gap right here. Let me make it bigger. So run into the 25, disrespected this this fair value gap at the 50%. No, yes, at the 50%, right? We have these consecutively down close candles, these two, 1, 2. So this serves as an order block. From the low to the high, we have an order block. We have a tiny fair value gap here. We have this inverted fair value gap. We have this fair value gap, which is now a breakaway gap. And then we have this low, high, lower low, making this the high of the breaker, the high of the breaker, right? And the low. Then we have a tiny fair value gap inside here. And then this as well, this order block, the high of the order block, this. So this could be seen as what? The unicorn model on the 4-hour. The unicorn model on the 4-hour. And so then we have the 50% of the breaker as well here. So if I were to enter, and I'm actually in a trade, I have a limit, not a trade, I have a limit on this. So I would, the best thing would be for me to put it here, but then you never know, price might not retrace all the way. And we have a lot of confluences here, the fair value gap, this tiny fair value gap here, we have the high of the order block here as well. So I could place my limit here, target the 75 level where we have that order block, and then cover at least the low of the breaker, and then this one is 3.36 R. Then that is a good setup for me. So bullish. So there, and then if price wants, price could also go to the high of that range, like I already said, the high of that range, right? And then in the 4-hour as well, you can see that we have grabbed liquidity here to the left, grab liquidity here to the right. And if we should pull the fib on this, Exactly, that's nice. We see that all the confluences we found, aligns exactly with the 25 DRT level, aligns with the 25 DRT level on the 4-hour chart, yeah. And so from here, targeting up there. And so apologies for the noises in the background. Got a couple of people at home and the cars are making some noise, but this is what I am anticipating with on this. You know, using dealing range theory, it really gives you a framework on how price moves from one level to the next and how price navigates through, you know, whatever the word is here. So this is basically it for me. This is the setup I'm looking at, and so all the best if you're in the market. All the best.